Okay, guys, so let's analyze this data using Microsoft Excel. I'm going to be walking you through how to analyze this data using Microsoft Excel. So this is a call center data, and we're going to be analyzing it with Excel, from data cleaning to preparing our dashboard to analyzing our metrics. So now, I equally have a video on how to analyze this same data using Power BI. You might want to check for the video in my channel, or I will drop the link to that video in my description. This same data, I analyze it in Power BI, and I'm going to also analyze it in SQL very soon, and I will drop the video in my channel. So you want to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can receive notification anytime I upload my videos. So thank you. Let's get right into it. So this is a call center data, and as you can see, we have our ID, customer's name, sentiment, we have SAT score. This is supposed to be a satisfactory score. That's the scores that customer give when they are done with the call, how satisfied they are is between 1 to 10. Then we have the call timestamp, which is like the dates that the call came in. We are going to be doing the data cleaning and renaming all of this in the process of that. We have reasons for calling, we have cities, we have states, channels, response time, call duration in minute, and call center. Now let's analyze this data. The first thing we want to do is to go to Power Query to clean our data. So let's get to Power Query. To get to Power Query, highlight all your data using Control A, then come to your data tab here, then click on from table slash range. You want to ensure that you are using latest version of Microsoft Excel, anything ranging from 2020, maybe 2022 or 2020, I don't know. I'm using Microsoft 365, so you want to ensure that you have the updated Microsoft Excel. So you come to from table slash range, just click on from table slash range, then it loads, it converts our data into a table format. You can see create table, then say okay, then it automatically loads into Power Query. So we are moving to Power Query now. Yes, my Power Query is loading, and here we are going to be doing some data cleaning. Now our data is quite clean. It's quite clean. So the first thing, this is Power Query. So I'm going to change my title. This is my title is showing table 1, so I want to properly name it and say call center. Okay, so then I'll click on enter. Then you can see that the name has changed. That's part of the data cleaning. Then I want to rename this column to satisfactory score, satisfactory underscore scores. Then I want to rename my call timestamp to say date. Yes, so I'm going to rename that to date. Now we have our data. The next thing will be to set the data types, or normally Power Query will automatically detect the data type. So you need to cross check and ensure that it matches with your objectives. So we have ID, set it to test, which is correct. Just cross check all of that from here. What I have here is looking good, because I don't want us to spend so much time. So what I have here is looking good. We have the satisfactory score set to numbers and all of that. Okay, so Power Query has automatically dictated. So let's sort of do data quantity, column quality. You can see now, if you come to this particular column, it's saying that we only have 37 valid data. Yes, because we have a lot of non rows. Now we cannot delete this data because they are like a chunk part of our data. How we can delete 64% of our data? It doesn't make any business sense. And the rule sometimes says you cannot leave your column empty, but you can read up on the rules that guide having empty rows. Sometimes you use your standard deviation and all that, you can read up, but for this particular data we are going to leave it empty. And why is because this is a satisfactory score, and we can't just go ahead and fill this scores for the customers. What if they are not happy? What if they are happy? We can't say we want to use the mean to fill it up. But there's something we are going to do during the our analysis, will be to just check the average scores that we have, not the total, just the average score that we have. With that, we'll be able to rate the business based on that. So after checking, now that our data seems good, we will just quickly go back to our Excel now, which we now say come to your own page and close, click on close and load. This takes us back to Excel. Okay, so we have our data loading back to Microsoft Excel. Yes, so we have our entire data now. This is the one we have before we went to clean our data, which is, you can see we still have the CISA score and the call timestamp, and this is our clean data. So now the next thing we want to do is to come to this table design, on the table design, and say summarize with pivot table. So we'll summarize with pivot table, just click OK. New worksheet, so it goes to a new worksheet. So this is what we have, and this is our pivot field, this is our pivot table, this is our pivot field, this is all the field area. We have our filter, column, rows and values. This is where we start to analyze our data. But before we start to analyze, let's go and prepare our dashboard. So I'm going to create another sheet here, click on another sheet, then I'm going to rename this sheet, right click on it, rename it as dashboard. Yes, then I'll rename this my pivot table, I'll rename it as pivot table, so that we are clear. So let's come back to our dashboard. The first thing I want to do here is to turn off the grid, all these cells line, the grid line. So I'll come to view, under view, and tick out this grid. Okay, now we have like a plain canvas. Let's get into designing our dashboard. So the first thing I want to do now will be to come to insert, then come to illustration, then shapes, then I'll pick the shape, then I will draw my shape for my dashboard. I'm going to draw it down a little more. Yes, then I'm going to look at this yellow ball here, then I'm going to drag it back to reduce the curve. So I'm dragging it back to reduce the curve. I want the curve to be okay. So this is good. Then I'm now going to change the color of this shape, come to fill color. I want to use like a dark theme design, so I'm going to select this, or better still, something within here. Then I'm going to come here and pick another. So I want to just design my dashboard and make it look good a little. Pick the shape again, bring it here, drag this down. I just want to add some a little bit of design touches to it. Then drag it to the edge. Okay, then give this a darker shade. So click on it, come in, and I'm going to give this like a darker shade of black. Yes, so I'm going to turn off the outline shade, like the border, so I'll say no outline. Okay, then I want to turn the ball, rotate the ball a little, so we have something like this. Okay, So our main shape is having an outline. If you look at it very well, so I'm going to remove the outline, which is our background shape. So you're good to go. So the first thing we want to do after this will be to start to create our boxes for our design. So I'm going to pick a line. I want to demarcate my space for title. So I'm going to hold down my shift key and drag the line to the edge. Yeah, make sure it's not out. Then I'm going to pick like a shape, something like this. Okay, then I'm going to pick this shape again. Now let me start to create. This is where I'm going to have my card visuals. Then I'll adjust this properly. Then ensure that it's fitting. Then I'm going to give it like a black shade. Use this black. Then turn off the outline. Okay, then I'm going to duplicate this. Control D. Then duplicate again. I will be doing 3 card visuals. Then I want to pick a line, then come here and drag this. Sorry, pick a line. Hold my shift key. Hold down my shift key and drag down. Shift key, drag down. Yeah. Then give it like a light shade. Okay. Yeah. So I equally want to drag another shape, so I'll duplicate this, bring it here. This is for my trend analysis. Bring it here, adjust it. Okay, so I feel like I need to adjust this space a little, so I'll adjust this. Sort of too high. Adjust the line, hold your shift so that you can get a straight line. Okay, then I'll duplicate this again. I'll bring it here, adjust it, then duplicate this, adjust this, sure that in balance, pay attention to balance. Yes, now I'm going to bring this here, duplicate the shape again. Just needed to put this here. So I'm trying to design my dashboard. Then I'll duplicate this, then bring this here. I'll adjust this a little and delete this. Then I'm going to reduplicate this. Okay, then duplicate this again. Then adjust this. This can be smaller. Okay, so we have our dashboard design. We have our dashboard design now. Then we can start to analyze our data. So this is our dashboard. Let's get back to analyzing our data. So let's come back to pivot table. Now the first thing I want to do is to try to get the total call. If you look at our data, it's a call center data like I mentioned. So I want to get the total call, and each ID here is significant to a call that comes in. So it's unique to a call that comes in. So it means that to get our total calls, we are going to be counting all our ID. So that all our ID is going to give us the total numbers of calls that we receive. Bear in mind that this data set is for October 2020. Just 1 month data. Just 1 month data. Doesn't It's not up to 2 months, just for October 2020. So I'll come back to pivot table. Then under my data field there, I'm going to drag my ID to values. Now you can see count of IDs. So pivot table will automatically help you to count the IDs. So we have count of IDs. So I'm going to double click on this. We need to give it a description that our audience or stakeholders will understand. So I'm going to double click this, then change the title here, total calls. So this is a better description now. So we have our total calls. Now let's come back to our dashboard. First, before we go to our dashboard, I'm going to make this plain too. So I'll come to view, then tick this. Okay. Now let's come back to our dashboard. Under here, I'm going to click is equal to. So I'm going to click this cell, this particular cell now. This shape that I created. Then I'll click is equal to in my formula bar. So once I click is equal to in my formula bar, then I come to my pivot table, highlight the two together, then say enter. Now you're going to have, okay, we have just our total calls. So what we can do is to click, so let's do this one by one. So I'm going to delete this. So I'm going to have to delete this. So I'll click here is equal to, then come back here, this, enter, then click on enter, delete this and say is equal to this, then click on this. Okay, so we have our total calls. We can always type the name on it. So let's give this a color. It's really dark, you might not be able to see it, so let me give it a white color. Sorry. So let me give it a white color so that you can see here. So this is our total call. Let's type the total call to total calls, then enter. Okay, so let's put this in the middle, put it in the middle and the center here. So you have your total calls, then we have our first analysis. You can adjust this by highlighting the total calls. You can make the total cost smaller, then make your number, highlight the number now, and make this bigger. Yeah, so we have our total cost now. This is our first analysis. The next thing we want to do, let's come back to pivot table. So I'm going to demarcate this using my border. So I'll come to border here and say right border. Now I'm going to copy this pivot, copy it and paste it here, because I want my pivot table to show again in this place. So I'm going to remove this. Okay, then we have our pivot table. Now the next thing we want to do is that our satisfactory score, which is this, that we have, that is not everything is not filled, that we have empty rows there. So we want to try to get the average. So we will try to get the average. So I'm going to come here and say satisfactory score. So I'm going to drag this to value. Now you can see it sum it up totally. Why you could perform that sum was because when we are setting our data type, that particular column was set to whole number. It means that we can perform some sort of arithmetic on it. Now, so we have the sum, but what we are trying to get is the average. So we want to know on an average, what score does it did we get, what scores did we get as written. So I'm going to double click on this guy, Then I'll change the name to average and use average satisfactory score. Use a name that is more descriptive. Average satisfactory score. Then I'm going to select average from this place because I'm trying to get the average. You can see it has changed the name to average. So I'm going to use average underscore. Then I'll say, okay, now you can see we have an average. This is our average score. Then we can reduce the decimal points here to 2 decimal points. Yes, so we can say that on an average, our satisfactory score is 5.5. So on an average, our satisfactory score is 5.5 or 5.6 approximately. So this is our second analysis. So let's come back to our dashboard. Then here, click is equal to, come to your pivot table, then click this and enter. Okay, so we have the scores here showing. Let's give it a white color. So white. So I'm going to highlight it, then give it a white color. Then let me type the name right in front of it. Average SAT score. So I'm going to be shortening this. Yeah. So I'll make it center. Then this. I can now reduce the size of the name and increase the size of the number. Yeah, so let me see the size 16. So we have 16 also. So we've been able to do our first card visual and our second card visual. So let's go to the third card visual now, which is this. Now we want to get the call duration in minutes. We want to know our average call duration in minutes. This is our data, and we have call duration in minutes here. So this is the call duration in minutes that the minutes that customer spends when they call. But we want to know on an average how many minutes does a customer spend. So we come to our pivot table, almost the same thing that we did for this guy. Let's demarcate this, then copy any of this again so that we can get our pivot table. Give it a space, then I'll remove this. Okay, so we have our pivot table. This time around, we need our call duration in minutes column. So we are going to look for it here. Then I'm going to drag it here. Yeah, this is the total call duration in minutes, but what we are trying to get is the average. So we run the same thing, double click on it, then click on average, then you can say average call average call duration, average call duration. Yeah, then I'll say okay. Yeah, so on an average, a customer will spend 25 minutes on call, which is quite too much if you ask me. So I'm going to go back here. Let's go back to our dashboard now, this time around. Say is equal to, come to your pivot table, click on this sheet and enter. So we have it there, right there, but it's dark. So I'm going to make it white so that you can see. Then we can type in our title. Average call duration. Yeah, so let's make this to be in the center. Let's reduce the size of this, then make it to be in the center too. Yeah. Then let's increase the size of the number to 16. Yeah, so we have our card visuals. So we have our card visuals now. We want to move on to our chart now. So let's come back to pivot table. I'll demarcate this. Now we want to do a core trend. We want to see how each core came in for the trend for the core for the whole 31 days of October. Remember that I mentioned that our data is just for October 2020. But we need to see how the core came in based on different call centers, because they have call centers, different call centers, and based on call duration that each of these call centers spent. So I'm going to come here to my rows. Now I'm going to put I'm going to put my date. You use date for anything trend. It is important to note that. So I'll put my date here. So this is the day from that on the 1st to on the 31st. Then on this side, under my values, I'm going to put my call center to value. Now you can see the count of call center. It means that on the 1st, 1089 call centers were opened. On the 2nd, 1084 call centers were opened, and so on and so forth till on the 31st. On the 31st, is only one call center that opens. Now let's put our call duration in minutes here again. So I'll come here and put call duration in minutes. Yeah, you can see I want to arrange that. I can decide to switch this here, or let's do call duration in minutes. I want it to come down. Yeah, okay. So I have my call duration. So it means that this 1089 customer call centers, I mean, on the 1st, they spent this total of call duration in minutes. That's the total, and so on till on the 31st. Now we need to plot this in a chart. So I'll come to my pivot table analyze tab here, this tab here. Then I'll click on pivot chart. Then we are going to be using a combo chart. We are using a combo chart because we have two metrics there, so we can use combo chart. So I'll click on combo. Then I'm going to tick this cluster column. This is the column, but I want it to filled up. So I'll click on this here, and you can see. So we have two charts: the column, which is the blue, the line chart, which is the orange that you're seeing. So I'll say okay. Now this is our chart. So we need to format this and then move it on to our, so I'm going to remove all of this. We don't need them. So I'll right click on them and say hide all feed button on chart. Yeah. Then this, I can adjust this and adjust my chart, then spread it out. First off, let me reduce the size, then bring it somewhere around there. So I can make this to be somewhere around there. Yeah. Then I need to reduce all of this text. So I need to reduce them. Too big. Make it smaller. Then I can spread out my chart. Yeah, so we have something like this. Now we need to select the color. Do we want to use this color? So to go to color, now double click on your chart. Now the fill color, which is the background color, you can say no fill. I don't want any fill. I'll remove it. Yes, I do not want fill because my dashboard, I already give my dashboard some sort of color. Then for the border, I will say no fill too. Yes, now for these shapes, this ones, click on it, which is the column chart. Then I can change the color here to any color of my choice. So let's say I'm doing this blue, then the orange, let's say I'm doing um this green. Okay, now I have my chart. Let me make it smaller. Now let me give it a chart title. To give it a chart title, click on this icon, then say chart title, this plus icon. Let me move it to where you can see properly. Okay, so click on this and say chart title. Yeah, so you have a chart title. I can move it here. Then I'll call this title call trend. Call trend. I'm going to adjust the size. Double click on this. Yes. Okay, so we have our call. So let's copy this. Just click on it and use Control C. Control C. Then come to your dashboard and paste. Yeah, so you have this now. Then you can adjust it to fit your space. So this is the space that I've prepared for the chart. So I'm going to move it here. This I'll need to reduce the size more. Yes. Then the text would have to change to white. So you can change all the text to white. Yeah. Then for this to change it to white. So we have like our chart. I want to remove the grid line, this grid line. So I'll click on this icon here and tick out grid lines. Yeah, so we have something like this, which makes sense. Adjust your chart to fit in properly. Yeah, so we have our the core trend, which is the title. We're going to reduce the size, then can give it a color to differentiate it a little. So I'll highlight it, then give it a color like this blue. Okay, so we have our core trend. We can decide to remove the border. The chart has like a border, so I'll click on it and say no border. Yeah, so we have this is our core trend. Now let's move on to the next thing. The next thing we want to do is the location. We want to do the location by each call center. How many call centers do we have? So I'm going to move this here. I want it to be on the data. Then I'm going to demarcate this. We are done with this. I'll demarcate it. Then I can copy this. I want my pivot table to show, so I'm going to copy this, then paste it in the next one. Yeah, close this, and you can remove this. So the next thing we want to do is call center by state. How many call centers did we have in each state? How many call centers are there in each of the states? So I'll come to my data, put my states in row so I can list them out, then drag all my call centers to value. Now you can see these are all the call centers that we have in each state. You can see. Now we need to put this in like a map. So I'm going to highlight this now. Highlight it from the beginning, from the bottom to the top. Then come to my insert. Then come to map. Then click on this. So my map is loading. Yeah, you can see. So we have our map now. I'm going to make it smaller. I can remove this series. Yeah. Then I'm going to title this. This is the title. Why is it copying it together? Okay. So I'm going to title this and say location or call center by state. Whatever name you want to give to it. You can reduce the size. I'm going to reduce the size, give it this color. Then we remove our background. Come here, no fill. For the border, no fill. You haven't removed the background, no fill. Yeah, border, no line. Let me show you. Okay, so this is what we have. Then we can change the color. You can decide to change the color. Let's pick like a color. Let's pick a color from here. So you can click on color, this color button, come to color here and pick something within our color. Yeah, or this blue. Yeah. So let's reduce this. So we have, you can come to this icon here and turn on data label. So you are going to see the numbers of call center. Reduce it. Yeah. So the number is going to show the number for each of them. This is it. And you can copy this now to your dashboard. I'm putting this somewhere here. So I'm going to move this here. Remove this. I don't need that. Then I'll adjust this to fit in here. Yeah. So we have our call center by state. So the next thing we want to do now is to know the reasons for calling. So we have in our data, we have reasons. You can see reasons. So we want to know the highest reasons why people call. This will help us to make decisions, right? So let's come back to pivot table. Let's put this on the data here and demarcate this. So let's copy our pivot table so that we can see it. Copy this and paste it here. Then I'll remove this. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. Now I said that we want to do our reasons for calling. Reasons for calling. So we need to list out the reasons for calling. I'm going to bring it here. So you can see all our reasons: billing question, payment, and service outage. You can ignore the total, the grand total. So we want to know by all call centers which one is stopping. So I'm going to bring in my call center here. And you can see billing question is topping. You can see really topping. So people call in mostly to inquire about billing question. So let's put this in the chart. So I'll come to pivot table analyze, pivot chart. Then I'll select, let's use this column chart. So I'll click on column chart and you can see it. And I'll say okay. So let's edit this. Going to make it smaller. Remove all this thing, right click and say hide field. Yeah. Then name this properly and say reason for calling. Reduce the size. It's so big. Reduce it properly. It's like 7. Reduce all this text and change them to white. Yes, you won't see them right now because we are on a white background. Turn off these grid lines. So come here, remove grid lines, then turn on data label. Yeah, this is the data label. Reduce it. Then we can maintain this blue. This blue looks like our blue, or we can select our blue. So let's remove this total. We don't need it. So let's remove the background for this now and the border. So no fill, no lines. Okay, so we can copy this now to our dashboard. So we have our chart. Let me move it out. So we can copy this, copy, then come to dashboard, paste it. Yeah, so we have to fill it in to size our space. Yes. Okay. Let's reduce the data label. Give it white color. You can reduce this too. Yeah, you can reduce this. Okay, to 4. Yeah. Okay, so we have our reasons for calling. Let's adjust this properly. Yeah. So our title, let's give it a blue feel. We can increase this a little. Sorry. Yeah, can increase this a little too. Yeah. Okay, so we have our reasons for calling. Let's ensure alignment. Okay, we have our reasons for calling. Now, the next thing we want to do now is to know the call channels. In our data, we have call channels that customer calling through, different call channels. So let's go back to our pivot table, demarcate this. You can see that we are still working on pivot table, just one pivot table in one sheet. So I'll copy this, paste it here. Now I'm going to remove this. So I'll remove this. Now I'm going to add our call channels. So I'm going to come here, list out our call channels using the row column. By all call center, we want to know the one that is stopping. So count of all call center. You can see call center is stopping. Call center is more like when they call in compared to when they use chatbot, email. So we are going to put this in like a pie chart. So I'll click on this, click on data pivot table, analyze pivot chart. Then let's look for a pie chart. You can use this or this. So let's use this. I'll say okay. So let's adjust this to be smaller. Okay. Then I'll remove this hide field. Yes, then this, guys, I'm going to make it smaller. Then I can move it out, spread it out, then put it at the bottom, something here. Then I can move my chart out. Yes, so then let's work with the color. I'm just going to be selecting, using this for my color because of timing. Yeah, so let's do like a monochromic color. Yeah, then let's show data label. So you have the data label, reduce the size. Then let's title this call channels. So I'll make this smaller and give it a blue. Make it smaller, much more smaller. Okay, then let's remove the background. We don't need the background, so I'm going to click on this, double click on this, no fill, no lines. Yeah, so we can copy this now, Control C, then to our dashboard, Control V. Where is it? Okay, we have it here. So I'm going to move it up here, reduce it, and move it up here. So let's give our text white color, reduce the size. The data label should be white too. Yeah, so let's reduce it. Yeah, so this is our, you can do further adjustments here. You can do more edits from this. You can the size, the height, anything you can. For the chart here, I don't want border. Yeah, so I want something like this, so you can see my chart now. So the last one is what we are going to be doing now, which is the response time. We've done the reasons for calling, so let's do the response time. We have response time here. Yeah, so let's go to our pivot table, demarcate this, then copy our pivot chart, then copy this and paste, then remove this, close this. So let's remove this. So what we want to do now is our response time. So let's list out our response time, drag it here. Then by all the call center, so let's drag our call centers to this part. So within SLA in the telecommunication, I think it means service level agreement. So let's do this. Let's put this in a chart. So come to pivot table, analyze, pivot chart. Let's use like a bar chart this time. So I'll click on bar, let's select this. Yeah, so let's remove these idle feed buttons. Let's adjust all of this, make it smaller. These numbers, can remove them. I don't really need them. So I'm going to increase the, make it white. The border, the grid line, show data label, data label. Reduce this, make it white. Then the title will be response time. So I'm going to reduce this, then move it somewhere here with our color. Then we can leave this color of the shade. Now let's try to remove the background and the border. So double click on this, no fill, no lines. Okay, so let's copy this now to our chart. Copy, then dashboard, paste. Okay, so this is what we have. Let's make it smaller. So I'm going to adjust it. Yeah, response time, you can spread it out a little. Yeah, so we have our response time. So this is basically our analysis. This last piece, I leave it in case I want to just write a short description or a recommendation. So this is all our analysis. One more thing before we go, we need to add slicer. So we need to add slicer to our data. So I can come here now, click on any of this, any of your charts, then come to insert, then come to slicer. Okay, let's click on this, come to slicer. Okay, I'm not clicking on the chat. That's why. So I want to use two slicer. I want to use, say, channels and reasons for mine. So I'll say okay. Yeah, so we have these two slicer now. So I'm going to, you can format this slicer. So let's make it 4 column. Yes, 4 column slicer. Then adjusting, make this to 3 columns. Then adjust it. Then you can make further adjustments to this slicer. You can come here and let's say new slicer. Under here you can format your slicer format. So for the font you can select the size. Let's say you select the size to be 8, then the color to be, yes, let's say the color to be this green, then the fill color, then select OK, then select OK. Now you can come and add this. Okay, you can see. So we need to readjust this. We need to edit this. Or let's create a new slicer. So the fill color should, let's format this. Let's give it like a fill color. What did we use for our fill color? Let's say black. Then the font color should be white. Or let's use this green for the font color. Then let's give it like a background, a border, outline border, or border. Then select the type of border. Type of border should be this or something like this. Then all border. Then the border color should be white. Let's say okay. Okay. So let's, yeah, so you have something like this. You still need, you can still add, okay, we didn't reduce the size. Just let's reduce the size. Modify. So I right click and click modify. So let's come to the font size. Say 8. The font size should be 8. The border color should be white. Then say okay. Okay. Yeah. So not showing the border color. Let's modify it again. And format. Don't know why the border color is not showing. So you click on this, it's supposed to be. So let's click on inner. Let's click on inner. Then okay. Okay. You should have like an inner border. Well, let's adjust this. Let's adjust this. Let's see if we can add, the inner border, it will help us. The inner border should be white. It should be this type of border, or all border, fill, background, border, all border. So let's see if you have it. Okay, so we have the border now. You can adjust this line. Yes, then you can move this. So you can apply this to the border too that you just created. So this is our slicer. Let's make the border. I think the border is thick. Let's see if we can make it like a light border. Yes. Okay. It's still the same thing. So let's just, yeah. So let's leave our border like this. You can always format it to suit your own preference. Let's reduce the font size to say, okay, I think we cannot go beyond 8. Yeah, you can choose the size. Okay, so let's leave it this way. Then you can bring in your text box. Now let's connect this. We need to connect our slicer, or else you will not be able to use them. To connect it, so you click on this funnel icon here, right click on it, then come to report connection. Then you have to tick all of this pivot table to connect everything together. So with that, our dashboard becomes interactive. Ensure that you tick everything, then say okay. Then do the same for this. Report connection. Click on this. Click on everything. Make sure that you tick everything, then say report connection. Now we can use this to filter. So if I click on any of this slicer, you can see that our data is going to filter. You can see our data has become interactive. All of this has changed. I can clear the filter using this. Just click on the funnel. If I click email, the data is going to become interactive, and you can see that everything has changed. Everything has changed from here down. So let's close this. So one more thing would be to just title our dashboard. So you can just come here, then click on text box, pick the text box, then come here, drag in here, and you can type call center report. You can adjust this, then format this to text. So let's remove the background, no fill, then give this a color, maybe white. Increase the size. You can equally change the fonts if you want. Yes, so this is our dashboard. Let's remove the border. So no line. Yeah, so this is our dashboard. So like I mentioned, I have this same dashboard in Power BI, and I have the video on my channel. You can search for it. Better still, I will drop it in the description of this video. You can see how it works both in Power BI, and I'm also going to be creating the same, using the same data. I'm going to be working with it in SQL. I'm going to be uploading the video very soon. Please do well to subscribe to my YouTube channel, drop a comment, share if possible. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.